Things Reimagine, we're speaking with graphic artists, illustrators, and animators about their inspirations and aspirations.
Stay tuned to get a glimpse inside of the creative minds of Emily Pasquale, the illustrator behind Boxer Bun, and Pearl Lowe, illustrator of the upcoming graphic novel, Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots.
Hi, Emily and Pearl. Thanks for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off by sharing your name, even though I just said them, and a brief summary of your upcoming or recently released work that you've done?
My name is Pearl Lowe. I use she, they pronouns. I am currently working in animation and comics, and I'm working with Scholastic right now, adapting the Adventures of Bailey School Kids into graphic novels, and I'm working at Cartoon Network on Craig of the Creek. I also am most newly titled, I guess, a muralist. I did a mural last summer in my city of Vancouver. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
My name's Emily. I am a freelancer. I've been freelancing since last year because I graduated in 2019. And I've done work in games and animation. And I also run a small artist shop, and that's where most of my time and energy has been spent. Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess we'll start with Emily. What inspires your art and artistic process?
Well, I'd have to say, I watch a lot of cartoons, and I also grew up playing a lot of games, mostly like Nintendo. And I really like the playfulness in it and like how cute a lot of the characters and how colorful it is. And so a lot of my work tends to be very colorful and cute and sometimes childish. I'd also have to say my background, since I did grow up in the US, but my family's from Dominican Republic, and I grew up going there a lot. My family is very expressive, very warm and energetic, and I was always very quiet or timid, and I always wanted to be more like them. And so I felt like I kind of expressed that in the work I created. I wanted it to be very loud and expressive, so that I could feel like I was a part of, similar to them in that regard.
Kind of like everyday things. I think I find like real joy kind of taking the ordinary and like making it extraordinary in a certain type of way. I think that I'm at a point in my career where I really enjoy like highlighting like relationships between, people and people of color and stuff like that, especially Black folks, in like a really normalized way, but like make that something that's like really cool to highlight. So I really appreciate like all the interactions that happen between myself and my loved ones and stuff like that. And I really like putting that into my artwork. But also, like Emily was saying about her background, sorry, I don't know if you use she, her pronouns, but like Emily was saying, okay, cool. Like Emily was saying, I also draw a lot of like inspiration from, I guess, my background, my cultural background. And I tend to talk a lot about just like self-discovery and like, I guess like navigating racism and just like culture in a really palatable way through like comics or, like animation for like kids and stuff like that. So those kind of are like the big themes that kind of inspire me in my daily practice.
Brandon and I are both creators, both in different ways, though, than you both are. We're like writers. I try to be right, it's a thing on the side. And then all of these other things. And something that's really clear, especially like with each of you, like having your different mediums, right? Like you're inspired by a lot of similar things, but even when you're working with different mediums, there's things that you find yourself like being drawn and being like really particularly proud of, especially if it may be something new that you're doing, or just it means a lot to you because of where the inspiration came from. What is one piece of yours that you love particularly because of what it took to make it? Pearl, if you wouldn't mind starting.
I guess my personal comic Tension that I came out in like 2018, I think. Like time is like super weird, but I think it came out in 2018. And it was, I guess, just my first kind of like toe in the waters of comics, and it was my first time just like writing and storytelling from a really personal space, just because it was autobiographical. So I think that I hold really close to my heart, just because it also like it kind of helped me strengthen the desire to want to tell stories from my perspective. I think before I didn't really think that it was important. And I was like, oh no, people don't want to hear about that. Like, oh, people don't want to hear about my mixed experience or my experience with curly hair, or like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no one's gonna read it, that kind of thing. But like through doing that project and finally pushing it to get out to like other people and have them read it, I kind of was like, oh, like actually I am connected to folks who do connect to my specific experience, even if we're on different ends of the spectrum. And that just kind of helped me, just like kind of blossom more into, talking about things that I really talk about now, like race and culture. And, like one of the things I also really loved about like tension was that like, I felt like I created a space for like Black and Asian folks that not a lot of Black and Asian folks had. But also it was like a really nice way for me to eventually end up working for Hair Love, because one of the co-directors read Tension, and he has Black and Asian daughters as well. So that was just kind of like a nice whole project for me in so many different ways.
Yeah, that sounds like both inspirational and like a lot of like pride and like personal pride in that as well. How about you, Emily, especially like in bringing in like that want to kind of bring out your family and like how they move and your artwork? Has there been any time that you've been able to like look at your artwork and be like, oh, I've done it, I've achieved it, and been like proud of like what like doing that part, or any other aspect you've been proud of?
Well, in the past, I used to do a lot of work surrounding like based on in Dominican Republic because I just have so much experience and like memories there. And more recently, I have a project that it took a long time to do, but I think it was one that I'm proud of, is a series of robots that I did in 2019, I believe. And it was the first time that I did like a long-term project, and I wanted to push myself to create something that felt original and like something that was more me, because I like doing things that were fun and colorful and also just random and silly. And so that was something that I just have been continuing to develop. And it's even been something that's helped me with finding new work and meeting new people and meeting new clients. And yeah, that's been what I've done.
Awesome. So what aspect of being an artist or your creative process, what aspect of that, Emily, I'll start with you, brings you the most joy?
Well, with whatever job I get or anything I do personally, I like to just make it feel like it's something that comes from me or something that some aspects of me, like if I can, I like to include people that look like me. And I think my favorite part of the process is probably coloring. Like that's something that like, as I've said before, is something I like to include in my work and think about a lot. And I also mentioned before that, like me having like spent so much time in Dominican Republic growing up, like the colorfulness of like the landscape and like the energy that my family always brings is something that I like to express. And so I always try to bring that and show that in the work that I do.
I also really enjoy now more so than ever bringing myself to the project that I'm working on. I think before, like I was saying, I didn't really think that my perspective was one that people could relate to, so I didn't really put myself as much into my work as I do now, and I really do enjoy that process more. And I think I'm at a place where I feel like privileged to be able to do that too, because I am alongside a lot of creators that give space for Black voices and stuff like that. Like the Craig of the Creek team is really, really great. But I think another thing that's probably like on par with that is just like the collaborative process. I work in storyboards, and when we create an episode, so many people are involved, and I feel like it feels like we're all trying to like reach and create and discover this episode that we're trying to put together. And it's really cool to just see people being like, oh yeah, what about this idea? Oh, but that idea. And then you like kind of like find out the layers that kind of end up creating this whole entire episode. And I'm like, wow, like it started from here, but like now it's like way up here. And it's just, you wouldn't have been able to do that without all these different types of people with their own experiences and perspectives. So I really enjoy that, because it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a really refreshing experience.
Yeah, sadly, I'm always good for finding a song after someone said the thing. I'm like, started from the bottom, now we're here. Sounds like what you just described. Like, started from the bottom, like now your story's here. And so speaking of like music and other things that are involved with like, and that can be involved with your process. The whole series, Things We Imagine, our YouTube series, is about making fantasy recommendations to people across genres and mediums. We're hoping viewers will tune in and see us talking to different Black creators across different fantasy aspects. Like maybe that's art, maybe that's music, maybe that's books, and kind of like hone in on like what is out there and like how like fantasy can look like and across all these different things. Would you both mind sharing your favorite, well, maybe three, like your top favorite fantasy albums, books, TV shows, and or films?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes like sci-fi and fantasy blend for me a lot. So the suggestion might be more sci-fi than fantasy, because like Binti came to mind, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like sci-fi, but like also kind of like fantasy.
It counts.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like that. So I mean, I really love Binti. I really love the anime series Revolutionary Girl Utena. I feel like that's like one that's like, it just feels so like epic to me, and I don't think it's like a classical type of magical girl fantasy kind of show, but I really enjoy that. And then music, I'm trying to see if there's anything music wise that I really like. I mean, anything by like Chloe and Halle lately, just because they sound so like you know what I mean, just like so floaty and just like, I don't know, they're just so regal and everything. So I feel like Chloe and Halle would be like my music suggestion.
Yes. And their videos lately have been really like, have had like that kind
All
of
that
vibe.
on a tennis court, like how? How about you, Emily?
For sci-fi, I feel like I have a lot of like really childish inspirations, but I think that's kind of seen in my work. I was like a huge fan of the Speed Racer movie growing up, and that's been something that's really like I felt inspired me indirectly. Like I think even some of the work I create today, like I try to capture like the campiness and like the colorfulness in that sort of film. And music wise, like I listen to a lot of rock and glam rock, and one of the groups that I really liked for a long time was Electric Light Orchestra, and they just have a lot of very like futuristic sounding music. A lot of it talking about either the future, the past, or like just like the concept of time. And yeah, I really love the sort of instrumentation that they use, and just like the variety and the sound that they have.
Yeah, I wanted to pull some about the gaming stuff that you worked on, Emily. I don't think we actually like heard a lot about it. Do you mind sharing a little bit about like what kind of gaming work you've done?
Some of the clients I've had in the past were Wizards of the Coast and Very Very Spaceship, and currently doing some work for PsyOp. And a lot of it is just like very imaginative work, which is very fun for me. Some mechanical design, whereas like my love for drawing robots comes in.
Is Wizard of the Coast, that's the one that does Magic the Gathering, no?
Yeah.
So did you work on their latest thing that's coming out? The like magical school thing that's coming out?
Oh no, the project I did was something that's coming out later.
I love that you're just like under wraps, can't say anything about it. So on a need to know basis, don't play with me. That's great. And Pearl, yeah, like I've actually met Jeff from Craig of the Creek, and we were like talking all kinds of stuff. Like I went to the office and got to like chat with him and stuff, so it was great being in the office and seeing all the stuff. Do you have to go to California to do some of the Craig of the Creek stuff, or do you end up like doing storyboards and stuff from Canada?
Yeah, so I was initially going to move down to LA in April last year, but then the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, I guess we're not going to do that. So I've been freelancing from home, and it's been pretty good. We've been like video chatting and using Slack a lot. to communicate. And I think that everyone's so committed to like trying to like make this the best thing that they can over the internet that, you know, we're still cranking out cartoons, you know, we're still doing it. So it's been pretty good, but it is different because I did also get to, you know, meet everybody in person in February last year, just because the Oscars were happening. And I was like, oh, like, let me try to get down there. Hair Love's being nominated. Let me just try to be in the buzz. So I went down there and I did get to meet some of them, and it was really nice to feel their energy. They're a really great crew. So hopefully I do get to, you know, be down there and create some storyboards with them, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was really fun being in the office, and I was like, oh, I'm in a Cartoon Network, it's like a dream. Like,
they literally have like a pancake making machine in Cartoon Network. Jeff was like,
gosh.
oh, and if you look to your left, there's the pancake making machine. I was like, wow, you had to specifically tell me to look. It was very cute though.
They have like candy dispensers, and you're like, yep, this is the place. This is the place. I just love that show. I love Cricket the Creek. It's such a cute show. So thank you for all the cool work you do with your group. Just love it. It always brightens up my day when I watch it.
Thank you.
And Emily, I definitely saw your stuff online and was like, I love your art. It's really, but you kept saying childish, and I was like, it just feels like whimsical.
So cool.
Yeah, I just like, it's so cute. I don't think that like it doesn't have to be like, it can be childish, but also like doesn't have to mean that it's like juvenile. It's like really good work. And just like kind of plays with like when you said like you like the coloring aspect, I'm like that makes me think of like all the like comfort you get when you're coloring, like, and reminds you of like childhood and like kind of like filling stuff in and like comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining us today and sharing the content carrying your personal stamps of approval. Can you let us know where we can find more of your work and we can find you and keep up with all of the awesome things that you're doing? I guess we'll go with Emily first.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram and even Tumblr. All of my ads are at AkiBunny, and my website is boxerbun.fun. So you can find me there. I always post art and other things as well.
Twitter, I'm very active on the Bird app at Fumichun, FUMI_CHUN. I'm also on Instagram with the handle Fumichun, just no underscore. And I'm newly on Clubhouse, and Clubhouse has been really interesting. And you can find me at Lowe. This is my name. But yeah, I also have a website, pearllowe.com, and you can find more of my portfolio-based work. But I also post artwork on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, thank you both for joining us. We look forward to looking at all of your work and seeing more of your work out in the world. Hopefully everybody's like pulled up your information and is like following you, and I'm sure they already are. I know I am. Well, when we're done recording, like bookmark everything. But yeah, thank you so much. We just heard some amazing recommendations, which reminds me of one of my own, Asgard. It is a fantasy map generator that is really cool. I personally really love maps and like fantasy maps specifically. Anytime there's a book that has a map in it, I'm really excited about it. And this like website, basically you like go to it, they give you like land masses. You can customize, like you can tell them like, oh, I actually just want like 4 continents, or like I want a string of islands, and then they'll do that for you, generate it. And you can like figure out, you can edit like for terrain, for like political affiliations, religion, like all these kinds of things, and it's really cool for world building. I did it once and then I lost the map, and that was really sad, but it wasn't for anything specific, so it was fine. But yeah, it's called Asgard. It's AZGAAR. And it's super fun.
So how much time did you waste making a map that you're not actually going to use?
I wouldn't call it wasting, because I knew that it wasn't like gonna go, like I was writing something else at the time, and I knew I already had a map for that, because usually I like hand draw them. And so I knew it wasn't gonna go for anything like specific. I did like start taking notes like, oh, maybe I'll use it for something. So I was like upset about it. I spent about like, I was like on there for like off and on for like a week. And then I forgot. And then I came back like months later and was like, oh yeah, this is no longer, this doesn't exist anymore. So I was sad about it, but I still feel like I was also just trying to like understand how the site worked, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe next time I'll do it for a real thing and then I'll pay more attention. Yeah, I'll save it better. All right, Portia, do you have a rec that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so after hearing about Emily and Pearl's creative processes, I was reminded of something I do sometimes whenever I'm being somewhat creative, whether that's like writing for work, like for research, like not all, like literally, like if I'm like late at night and it's like, I gotta just power through this, but I need a little like brain lubrication. And when I'm writing, sometimes I just pour myself a cute little glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very happy to like have recently tried out the McBride Sisters wine because it's a Black owned winery. And it was great. Like I had I think I got like a red, a white, and a sparkling, and they were all fantastic. I think the white was the one that's literally called Black Girl Magic. So there's that. It's so cute. And I really like highly recommend it. Of course, I'm only recommending to people who are of drinking age and in moderation and responsibly. So if you are not a drinker, totally get it. If you want to just like send the link to someone you know who likes to drink, or maybe as a gift for someone at some time. I highly recommend supporting a Black-owned winery, and they ship across the U.S. They might maybe even internationally. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but definitely did ship to me all the way out here in New York, and they're in California, so I recommend them, and it was great.
I need to go ahead and I'm pretty sure I've seen them before, and then maybe you like sent them to me and I plan to do it. I think I have it like it's on a tab or something, so I need to check that out because it sounds like great. Right up my alley.
I need to re-up on it, honestly, like that. Like I feel like it's like, oh, I'm wine, I'm fancy, but actually not, because am I that fancy if I like the red blend? Like, what is the red blend? I don't know.
What's being blended?
Is it Merlot and a Cabernet? Like, I don't know what is in this red
blend. That's true. I rarely get the blends just because I'm like, what does that mean? But I'm sure there's like I'm sure like if I like Googled it, they'd be like, it means this, and it's, it's obviously legit, but in my head I'm like,
I'm just saying, I'm like, I'm not a wine snob, because like I like a red blend, and I don't know, like
I aspire to be a wine snob, but I'm not one at all. I don't yet have the like diligence for it, like you have to have, like, I haven't quite gotten there yet, but maybe in like 10 years or so I'll have the
I don't think I've like, so the McBride Sisters red blend is great, and then I've had a red blend from another company, and I'm like, is this me? Am I a red blend girl? I just don't think
who am I?
I just don't think I think I'm gonna need to be on red blends for a while.
I mean, I like reds more than whites personally. But I very much like my whole like thing in terms of like choosing wine. It's like, I don't know, Merlot sounds like that's what's happening.
I don't pronounce the T at the end, so that's fancy,
I was like, maybe I'll get maybe today I'm feeling a Pinot. I mean, I don't actually know. And I went to Bevmo with my best friend like a minute ago, and I was like picking some wine, and she was like, how do you pick your wine? And I was like, I don't know, it's whatever. Like, usually if it has the white like label, for some reason to me that feels like more legit. There's no science behind it for me.
That's what people bank on, is the advertising of it, right? So it's like if the lettering is like cute or whatever, and like the label looks nice, sometimes
for me it's like if it's like real clean, it just feels more like grown up. That's what it is that it feels more grown up.
It's kind of like judging a book by its cover. It literally is that. You're just bringing that same value set over to wine, and you're just like,
Yep.
I mean,
that's exactly what it is.
It looks good. I don't know what to tell you, but I haven't gotten, so because I this is not associated with my brag sisters, and take it as you will. I belong to this like wine subscription thing, and the main reason I got involved with it, besides the fact that I got a friend referral, so it was like $20 for like 4 bottles of wine my first time. Was that like I wanted to kind of get it kind of tallies like the things that you like and puts them in like categories, so you know what your flavor profile is. And so I'm coming away from this experience knowing like, oh, apparently I like dry wines that are lightly sweet, but not, I don't like dry, like I didn't think I liked dry wines, but I like a certain amount of dryness, and like it helps me. So now I'm thinking like I'm gonna, by the time if I end the subscription or whatever, I know like my recommended like label, like my categories,
kind of
and
stuff.
I can be like, oh, like I just want to take a screenshot of this and take this with me whenever I go wine shopping, like this is what I need in my whites and my reds, let me know.
I like that. Yeah, I would like to use that. It's gonna help me with my snobbery.
Right, you gotta feel the snobbery.
Yeah, you have to know the words and like the, I don't know any of that. Soon
Come.
And that's it for this episode's Fantasy Rex. Thank y'all, or fantasy adjacent. Thank y'all for watching. We hope that you follow our guests, and maybe try out a fantasy map generator and, you know, drinking some Black-owned wine if
you're so inclined.
You could legally do that, and or, you know, that's your thing. So yeah, we'll be back next month.
Yeah, and if you'd like to join us for more great talks with Black and Indigenous people of color, fantasy creators, make sure to hit that subscribe button somewhere on here, and follow us on Twitter at Things We Imagine. See you next time.